For now, I want to move to something that I know Justin's been waiting to talk about. And Jake, too, evidently by his Spotify numbers. We're going to be discussing the new album from Abyss Watching Me called Nyx.
How can you not understand? You're stuck in a
I just want to say before we get to the actual music, I think this is probably my contender for best album art.
Of the year?
Of the year so far. It plays a lot with my heartstrings and the atmospheric kind of blue and kind of spacey, lunar.
It's very Valiant Hearts-esque, I feel like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder why Justin likes it.
It's because I'm pretty sure Tom did it.
Oh, really?
I think no, maybe I don't know. I think because I know he did a lot of the Foya stuff, and this looks very similar to what a Valiant Hearts album art would look like.
So anyway,
but yeah, this album's good.
This is the best band that Justin has introduced me to in at least a year.
Hello.
Thank you, Justin. You did a good thing for once.
I'm still waiting for my Swedish band from Justin. It's that time of year, Justin. We need a new Swedish band.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, I fucked you over with Noia.
And Imminence.
Was there a Swedish band last year, or no?
No.
I don't keep track with anything. Fuckers, this is a Czech Republic band. You think I keep up with what bands I suggest?
Justin, Jacob is simply asking for a quota of one Swedish band a year.
Exactly.
Not that hard.
Right.
It's not that hard. You gotta meet it.
Alright, I'll find one. Mark my words. But speaking of this band, what'd I do wrong last year?
You didn't give me one.
Fine.
Enough about Sweden, guys. Let's talk about the Czech Republic.
This album is really good. There is a lot to unpack with individually. A lot of the songs are really good. I'll kind of start off by one of my main gripes with the album is it's one of those albums that has been kind of lingering for a couple of years. A lot of the singles had to get remastered for this album. Specifically like Knives, Monochrome got a Tom Byrne feature. I think there was one more that got remastered. Or recent enough where they play a part. Losing. I think Losing also got a remaster. Which I should go ahead and say Losing is the best song of the album, in my opinion. And it's so good. Like, I love the chorus. The chorus is really good. Our time is up. Don't fool yourself. We've cut the ties and there's no healing. You've lost me. His voice inflection on "You've Lost Me" is really good.
His voice inflections across the entire album are incredible. To be honest.
Oh, absolutely. Love Igor's vocals, and it's so good how he can go from this kind of like dreary, almost clean vocalist to just high energy, heavy vocals. Like it's night and day almost, and it just works really well. I've been a fan of Igor since Not Coming Home, I think was the song from Adventure in Valiant Hearts.
I want to say No Place Like Home.
No Place Like Home, thank you. The Johnny Craig feature. Igor was the heavier vocals on that, and I enjoyed that. And then I think he was only the heavier vocals in Marina, which was another band that Tom featured in. And their song Join was also really good. And this, with Igor as the frontliner, and he knocked it out of the park with some of these. Some that I'll kind of touch on for the most part. We raved about Spiral when that came out, and Spiral is still really good.
Best song on the album.
Really good opener. I won't say that because there's a lot of other good ones. Spiral is one of my top, and it's not left my repeat. We did not get a chance to talk about Whatever It Takes because I'm a moron.
Yes
For the most part. But Whatever It Takes is also really good. The seamless transition to just speaking in Czech and it working really well, and with the with the cleans with underlying uncleans, really
real.
good. Inner Beauty and See You in the Dark, I think, had like a seamless transition where I think they're just kind of songs that need to be played together. Not Coming Home had a really long startup that I wasn't expecting. But I think for the ending, like toward the end of the album, I think it works really well as kind of like a. It, I kind of wish See You in the Dark was a bit heavier to kind of compensate with Not Coming Home, kind of loosening up the energy a little bit. But then it picks it right back up like throughout the song. So I still say my favorite song is Losing. Rope, I still kind of need more time with, and I know the album's been out for a while, but I feel like it's the same problem I've got with Wind Waker from Valiant Arts, where it's more of the uncleans than the cleans than I would like, and it's just something that I've got to get used to. But all in all, just phenomenal album for the most part.
Yeah, this is a really good album. I feel very similarly to this album with how I feel about Memphis May Fire, where it has a really high floor. In saying that, it has a really high floor, but some of the songs on this are still kind of forgettable to me. A lot of them sound too similar, and songs like Prisoner of Honor and See in the Dark and Not Coming Home, they all kind of just blend together for me, and just like I can't really tell you much about those songs, to be honest. But the songs that have gotten stuck in my head that I am able to distinguish are just so incredible across the board that I almost don't care how weak the other ones are, because I know, like, even though they aren't stuck in my head, I can guarantee that they are going to sound amazing whenever I listen to them. Just with the quality of the production and the vocals and instrumentation and the mixing, it's just all fantastic. And I think I also really, really enjoyed kind of the story that this album tells of trying to balance like hope and hopelessness, is kind of how I interpreted it. With Spiral, where it's like just like going down the endless spiral or whatever, and there's a lot of references to like trying to fight to survive throughout the album, and I'm sure Losing and Whatever It Takes kind of are obligatory, like it makes sense what those songs are kind of about. But in Rope, I really appreciated the chorus of "You're stuck in a hole, but let me throw you a rope," repeating cycle, but I refuse to let you go. And then also right before the chorus, the pre-chorus line that follows it up is, "And I'm sure as hell not giving up right now." There's a lot of themes, again, similar to Memphis May Fire, themes of darkness but hope at the end of the tunnel, light at the end of the tunnel. At the end of Inner Beauty, sometimes you need to run to finally turn around and find the inner beauty. And just fade out right after that. I really connected with that part. And then, Like Knives is the closer. References lyrics in Spiral. I don't know if that was intentional or not, because Spiral came out after Like Knives, but both songs have the same lyric of "all the regrets and the feelings, they're cutting you like knives." So that kind of ties the album back in from front to back, start to finish. And I think both Spiral and Like Knives are fantastic songs. Spiral, as I said, being my favorite song on here. Just the lyricism all connects. It's not super clear, but the more, like, when you read the lyrics, you start to pull the pieces together, and it starts to tell a really cool story about like living on the edge of like hope and hopelessness, of like you're just one step away from slipping down an endless spiral, but you're also one hand reach away from being brought towards the light by someone that wants to care for you. And I really appreciated the lyrical content of this album, and as I said, the instrumentation is fantastic. So just one of the biggest surprises of the year for me. Thank you, Justin.
Jake, did you also notice that Rope, being in the center of a 11-track album, has 5 songs early on.
I did not know that, but that's pretty awesome.
About the hopelessness, and then the last 5 are about overcoming that hopelessness, and I thought that was pretty genius.
I'm glad that you also
so fucking cool. I love when bands do shit like that.
Right, it's so good. Like you were mentioning this, and it kind of made a light bulb kind of click off on my head. But yeah, I love the latter half of the album, just how it's designed. Like you've got the rope that you're pulling up, and you're like everything that you're seeing is like black and white, but you're seeing through that mediocrity, that monotony, to spot the goal at like an end of a tunnel. And the last 2 songs, Not Coming Home, you're trying everything you can to get to the end of the tunnel, even if you're being like cutting through cold, like almost like going through a war-torn battlefield. Like, it's just I need more bands. I need more bands to do this, where there's a lot of interpretation with how you design an album.
Easy. It's not easy to make an album that is like the lyrical messages all tied together this well, this cohesively.
And now that you've said that too, I'm just thinking, because Whatever It Takes is like by far my favorite song on here, and I've listened to it a lot. I'm thinking about that lyricism, placing it right before Rope, and then having the hook to Whatever It Takes being just hold my hand, and like whatever it takes, like I'll get you through this type of thing, going into Rope. I hadn't caught that at all until you mentioned it, and that's fucking genius.
It's so good.
I think I need to revisit this, because I listened to it twice. I've saved my Whatever It Takes, See in the Dark, and Like Knives, and I liked everything else. I need to go back and listen to it with that in mind and see if my opinion gets even more favorable on this, because this is really good as it is.
As this has a very high floor. There are a few songs that I think are forgettable, but even the forgettable songs, like I know when I'm going to go listen to them that I'm going to enjoy it.
Yeah.
The last thing that I want to mention, I have not praised Monochrome enough. My second favorite song on the album, I think. It's between Rope and Monochrome, behind Spiral. But when Tom Byrne comes in at the end of the song, Tom Byrne is like an enigma for me. Because I don't like Valiant Hearts, I don't like him in Galleons, but whenever he features on something, he's just like incredible. And Monochrome is no exception. His feature is transcendent. It's like
the Caleb Shomo feature. Wait, we just
except for
yeah, never mind. I remember. Yeah. No, we're not even gonna say it. Everybody just knows.
Yeah. But yeah, I think Monochrome is fantastic. It's another one of those rare examples of like a 5-minute song that builds just perfectly. When you're doing like a nearly 5-minute long song in an album in the vein of like a Mercy by Bad Omens, that pacing is so important, or else it's going to get boring. But Monochrome is just, it's incredible.
I think I'm just a sucker for like certain voice inflections, because Tom in that feature does a lot of the particular inflections that I adore a lot from Adventure Odyssey. I don't know why I kept thinking Adventure. That's just the song, but not the album. But where it just seems like he's like almost his voice is meshing flawlessly with the instrumentals. I'm just a sucker for that, and any more post-hardcore bands that do that.
Yeah, no, Abyss Watching Me is doing a lot of things right. A lot of things right.
And this band is 6,000 monthly listeners.
Criminally underrated.
Criminal.
Go check this out. Don't do yourself a disservice and miss it. It's one of the better post-hardcore albums I've heard all year.
Jacob, you've been quiet. Did you get a chance to listen to this or no?
Bits and pieces.
Are you more convinced? Has any of this convinced you anymore to give it another chance?
I will return.
Hell yeah. Mission accomplished.
I need to hear how you both sound returning to this album now with discussion in mind.
We've got a little lull
If you
here.
try and pay attention to the lyricism in the album, I think it'll really paint a different picture.
Yeah.
If you really try and focus in on the lyricism, even to just pull up the lyrics as you're listening to each song, if you need to.
I usually do that, or try to, when I'm listening to new stuff.
Because that made a big difference for me, because like I wasn't catching all the lyrics just listening to the music, but looking at the lyrics when I like heard bits and pieces that I was like, wait, what's the deeper meaning going on here? There's a lot to interpret here, a lot of good.